Good morning and welcome back. Welcome to Who Am I? I skipped yesterday, if you noticed, if you're a fan. We've been working on this Airbnb project and we worked really, really late the night before. So I treated myself to sleeping in. It was hard to do. I slept in until, after 6. Anyway, I'm back. I'm back doing the show. I notice I do have listeners, and for that I'm really grateful. I really am grateful. I ask this question every day. In humility, I was asking myself this morning, well, what do I have to say to the world, to the show? Why should I get up and do this show? What do I have to say? And honestly, it came to me. I don't have anything to say. No, that's not what came to me. It's just the question, who am I? It really isn't, the answer isn't as obvious as you'd think. And the way you ask that question changes everything moment to moment. How you ask that question moment to how you answer that question moment to moment. Who am I? So I just decided that instead of being presumptuous, now we are here to ask about who am I in reference to source energy. What is this source energy thing? And I'm going to offer some things that I know about it, but I leave it open-ended. And whoever you are, add in the rest of what you know. Don't take what I say and throw out what you're thinking. The idea here is to be an and, not an or. You're not selecting between two and one of them's right and the other one's wrong and you're going to throw one of them away. That's a polarity issue. Don't go that way. You need to be adding everything in with an open heart and an open mind. Who am I? Who am I? And we're going to add all of this together. And we're going to come to a place where we're all okay. Where, as a matter of fact, what's going on in the world is pretty wonderful. And we could turn it into even better quickly, I think. I keep running into this reality thing, though. I want the fossil fuels to be gone. And I want us to be magically working on source energy. I've been watching Star Trek. I finished Next Generation, and I didn't know where to go. I might go on to Picard. But I think I'm going to do, well, I am doing Voyager in between. And I'm noticing something about the way we think about energy. And that is that it's scarce and that it's hard and that it makes all the difference in all of these civilizations in that the Voyager encounters. And I don't know. I don't think that the way we've conceived the future in the Star Trek manner is actually the way it is. I think that if you crack the code, I think energy and gravity, and so therefore weight, and being able to manipulate things that have great weight, I think it's different than what we think it is. I think that it's possible that whoever it is that built some of the huge, incredible architectural structures on this planet involving massive stones of tons, thousands of tons, hundreds of tons, thousands of tons, really, really big, heavy stones cut perfectly and set perfectly in ways that we couldn't do that. So how the hell did they do that? I think they understood gravity. And when you understand gravity, it isn't an issue anymore somehow. I don't know. I think they also understood vibration and sound and its effect on the field. And how to, I just think, oh, I think that we can crack this code. I also think I'm also sort of talking about occult things. I'm talking about stuff that maybe I shouldn't be talking about it publicly and out loud. Maybe I should be whispering about these things in the halls of some temple. Who am I? Who am I, and how does all of this work? Well, I think there is a mathematical basis. And I would look to the people over at the International Space Federation Foundation, International Space Federation, and the Resonance Science Foundation. And anywhere you can find him and how he is connecting to all of the work of all of it's really cool. When you get to a place where you're adding it all up, you start snapping your fingers and going, yeah, that's what it is. Add it all up from a positive position. So, this paper right here was published back in September of last year. So, coming up on a year, because I think it's late in September. September 25th. Yeah, we're just past a year. The Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity. The math has been done. And the math was done back in 2012 to unify the quantum and cosmological worlds. It really has been done. And if you understand how all of this, yeah, you know, if you're wondering why I'm stumbling, it's because I've got a quarrel going on in my brain right now. I don't know why I do the show. And so I let different impulses pull me around and get me to talk about things that I find interesting, just in case if I put them together in a way that's interesting to anybody in the outside world and they happen to be listening, great. Well, I have a few regular listeners, so that's wonderful. And then maybe some of them are also, I don't know if I still have strangers stumbling into the room, while I do the show. But sometimes I wonder why, and sometimes I think I have a program I need to do. There's a circle of information that I can go from da 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 da. I cover cymatics. I cover this paper that I have stuck on the full abstract of. There's this paper. There's the neocortex idea, and that's the overview mind, and how that is analogous to the overview mind of your vibrational self, the vibrational overview self that you are, your great inner being, that great inner being that is my inner being, but it intersects with everybody else's my mouth doesn't work to say these words I've never said exactly this way before. My great vibrational self intersects with everyone else's great vibrational inner self. That's the key. That's the magic. But anyway, so this slide here shows the neocortex mind and how it is sort of the overview mind to all of the minds you were before. And then I go on to, I point out how I'm not the one who came up with this, first of all, so don't blame me. But it makes sense to me, actually. I think that we are genetically modified. Now, he's just pointing out that the neocortex, its volume, has a relationship to this strange chromosome that we have inside of us that's two other chromosomes fused together. Now, nobody really knows how that happened. And you can question how it happened, but the probability of it happening accidentally, Greg points out in his presentations, is quite high. Now, he doesn't go on and take the next step and say, we are genetically modified. And I'm not sure how much it matters. Here's the in our own Academy of Sciences, the article that talks about our fused chromosome. And then I go on to the emotional guidance scale. This is an Abraham thing, and she's right about. I love the way she talks about. She talks about the two spinning discs of attraction. That's your two selves, your inner being vibrational self, and then you, your mind self. That's your two selves, and how they are working together is creating your emotional spectrum. And this is an even better way to look at it right here, where you can see the momentum. If you get a positive momentum going, and that's you falling into the star of your greater self. I got that one from Bashar the other day. It's actually really quite cool to think of. He's got it. You are a star, like a bright, shining star. And there, you're encased by some kind of a crusty shell. And how you, if you get into this practice of, I don't know, I need to work on that one. It doesn't matter. When you build a positive momentum, you can really get those positive emotions, those positive frequencies up to high levels and steady levels, so that you aren't falling into the despair or the he also talks about different processes that he's got to help you complete a circuit so that you don't stay in those lower anyway. I'm just going to run you through my program really quick, because I don't always know what I'm going to talk about. And so if you happen to be new today, or if you want a refresher what the whole set of information that I try to go to, let's see if I can hit it in an hour. Here's your emotional guidance system. Review that. Your emotions are a relative read between your higher vibrational self, whom you share with everyone. However, your version of it is looking at it from your position on the grid. So you have the grace of seeing the whole picture, the greater perspective, and what's best, what's the win-win for all of us, from the blessed position of this being looking at it from your particular point of view. How great is that? Listen to your inner being. That's the point of that. And then I found this one too on the internet. These, by the way, go look for the emotional guidance scale. You can find these things, and these ones, I believe these people are, both of these last two are selling them. You can buy prints of these if you like these. I don't know who they are. You have to go find it yourself. This is my own slide that I found. This is just camera apertures, but to me, it illustrates source mind's personal mind. The two spinning discs of attraction that are the reason for your positive and negative emotions. That's the point. So I was thinking about this yesterday, and it occurred to me what it means, why your inner being is okay with everything, with all things, because know this is what it implies. It implies that if you are in possession of all the facts, if you understand it from a total position, from a You've got all the facts. From that position, it's always okay. Just trust that. It's always okay. You just don't know all the facts. If you did, you'd know that it was okay. Your inner being knows all the facts and always knows that it's always okay. Anyway, this is my slide. It represents to me the two spinning discs of attraction, the source mind, and it also shows you, although this is not to scale at all, it would be way smaller on the right side and way bigger on the other side. However, this is almost good because it gives you an idea that you're worth something, you're big enough. Maybe it is the right scale. I don't know. I just made it up. I found it and then I blew it up so that it would fill the screen in my OBS studio. Then I go on to this slide. This one, to me, represents your brakes and your gas. When you're in a state of positive or negative emotion, well, you only want to put on the gas if you're in a positive. If you are in a negative for whatever reason, you don't want to put on the gas from there. You want to get as less specific as you possibly can until you can get out of the negative state of mind. You can still address reality in the world, but you yourself need to be in a good humor, to be at your best, to be able to fly as high. If you're gobbed up in a negative state, you don't want to be putting on the gas. You want to go general until you can get your legs back underneath you. Do you recognize yourself? Don't you know that only the positive self is all of you? The negative self is you, but it's only a part of you. The positive self is all of you, and that's the difference. That's why it's so important to find your positive self. And you might say, well, that's easy for you to say. If you're in a good situation, then it's easy to be positive. And that's true. If you're in a good situation, it is easy to be positive. But whether you are in a good one or a bad one, it is important to try to find your positive self. That is the most important thing. And so learning how to get out ahead of things, learning how to take care of yourself, be good to yourself, take care of yourself. Don't let yourself fall into bad company, be caught away from the hours, whatever the hours are that you're most comfortable. If the bad company for you is those, business suit people who wander around in the day and try to merchant things for their own greedy purposes, and your time is the good, funny people of the night that you hang with, if that's your world, then live it. I'm just saying, find your positive self, and when you're there, put on the gas, and when you're in your negative self, try to find a way to back away from that and be your positive self no matter what the condition is. That's what I'm saying. No matter what the condition is. No matter what your children bring to you, what ghastly possibilities or potential, even if the house burns down, know that things are always working out for you in some way. Try to find that and lean into that. I guess I don't know, does all that sound mamby-pamby and easy for you to say in your lily white tower? I don't know, but it's still the truth. If you can take the conditions of the world from a positive position, if you can find the positive interpretation of the situation, no matter what it is, then you can only get a positive effect from it, no matter if it's a positive or negative event. It's how you interpret the event as to whether you're going to get a positive or negative effect from it. You can get a negative effect from a very positive thing that happened by finding the little negative flaw in it and focusing there. And you could take a negative effect from a very positive event. And likewise, now Bashar says this, but you know what? I already thought this. And when he said it, it echoed back what I had already thought. It wasn't that he said it and I went, oh, yes, he's right. No, it's true. It is true. He just gives me confidence that I can hold that. Gives me permission to actually believe that, to put that one into my iOS in the upper operating system. You've got an operating system going on, and you need to clear it. It needs to be in alignment with reality. That's the truth of the matter. Then I have this picture. I rest it there sometimes. I got my air quotes. Sometimes I talk about cymatic patterns. And the reason I talk about cymatic patterns is because it illustrates the relationship between vibration and form. Helps the audience recognize that it really is a vibrational universe. You can count on that. I remember taking Fortran in 1980. And they have a concept in the programming. It's count. As you're programming stuff, you count something. Some condition is met, and upon the meeting of that condition, the count equals count plus 1, and you can count as the program progresses. That count keeps. But it's a foundational thing. Counting on something. There's a meaning to that. Counting on. Anyway, you can count on the fact that it is a vibrational universe, and your emotions really are giving you good feedback. You just have to understand how to interpret the feedback you're getting from this. The feedback that you're getting is it is just telling you whether the only thing your emotions are really telling you is how well or not well your thoughts are blending with the thoughts of your greater self. That's what your emotions are telling you. Also, it may be telling you initially that there is a condition present somehow, whether it's you resonating with this frequency or just observing the frequency. Something has happened. You have observed something in the field that you don't like. That's one thing, and then your thoughts about it, what you do with it, what your emotional response to the thing that happens. That is telling you how your thoughts and your inner being's thoughts are blending or not. That's what your emotions are telling you. And now remember who your inner being is. Your inner being knows everything and is thinking specific thoughts about specific things around you right now. But she's involved with big things. And you are too. We expect each other to understand big structures all the time. Right now, 300 million people, or somewhat less, it's going to be less than that because certainly everybody doesn't vote, and everybody isn't even qualified to vote. Not everybody's over 18. A lot of people are under 18. A lot of people aren't registered to vote. They should be. And then a lot of people aren't going to make it out to vote. But we're all expected to have some sense of ourselves as a greater people ourselves as a higher purpose? What are we doing? What are we doing with our money as America, for one thing? I'd like to know. I'm going to start objecting to paying taxes. Now, there's a whole lot of things that I think is wonderful that we could do collectively, but somehow people frown on that. They frown on the beneficent part of it because that'll make people dependent on the government teat or whatever. But the other stuff they're all for, the defense part, the idea of us collectively getting together, and if Mexico wants to invade us, we've got the nuclear missiles to stop them. Or I don't know. Fear-based activity, from a philosophical standpoint, you gotta know that the fear-based action is the one that's flawed. And so I gotta wonder whether or not our fear-based activity that we engage in, as I scratch my head and look at our behavior and look at who I am and who we are, wouldn't that be the most massively flawed actions that we have? Those that we are based on fear. Oh no, it's not based on fear, it's based on reality. Based on reality. Well, what happened to that walk softly part? We like the carry a big stick part, but we aren't really into the walk softly. I think that part would be more State Department, more diplomacy, more kindness to the fellow human. Somehow the outward structure of government somehow devolves into a focus on military and criminal justice. And it's unfortunate that it does that. But the reason that it does that is because we keep misbehaving. And the reason we keep misbehaving is because we don't understand who we are. So I have this idea about crossed energy and this field of this negative form that's created when we act on our negative self. And it creates this Shiva energy. And just think of the energy. Don't think of people carrying the energy just yet. Think of the energy itself. So we create this energy when any one of us acts in a significant way from our negative self. We create this negative energy field. And it's beyond just myself. Because now it's kind of out there and we share these energy forms and these energy fields. And when I create this energy through my bad behavior, it resonates out through the field. Other people pick it up and act on it too. It creates a jangly chaos and a discord and a angry. You start to get into the negative energy forms, and it spreads. It's what do you call it when you can catch it from somebody else? It's contagious. That's what it is. It's contagious. I call it Loki energy, Shiva energy, demonic energy. Now you get an apportionment of energy coming your way every day. It's coming to you from source. It actually is spin. It's sort of a collection of all the spins of all of the beings that are part of you, all of the cells. Every cell of yours is an individual being. Did you know that? They're all autonomous individual beings. Every one of your cells, and you are tens of trillions of them. There's a great deal of argument about how many trillions of cells you actually are. Tens of trillions different. I have heard over 100 trillion. And then I have heard only 50 trillion. And then I have heard 40 trillion and 60 trillion and 80 trillion. And I have no idea. How big are you? How many cells are you? I have no idea. Let's finish going through my whole program and see whether I can make it in an hour. And we'll just talk about this and that as we go. Here we got stuck on cymatic patterns. Here's the other, the first one, the cymatic patterns. These are digital ones created by a digital device that every time you put a different frequency in will spit out a different pattern. And somebody's put them up on the internet. And here's more cymatic patterns. I searched for these. I found this is a great example. You can see the ones upper left, lower right. Those are natural cymatic patterns. Upper right, lower left, that's Hans Jenny, the father of cymatic study, cymatics, studying the relationship between vibration and form, would put a granular medium on a metal plate and then hum a frequency through the metal plate and watch the little particles dance into coherent patterns. So then we got the 5 kleshas. This comes from Buddhist philosophy. Considered to be the root cause of all suffering. Well, this is what we're talking about. Who am I? Why do we suffer? Where do all the problems of humanity come from? I believe they come from this. And this is why human beings are different from animals, too, because animals don't have the neocortex mind that can think in 360-degree spherical directions in any direction, real or not. Our thoughts can go. We can go in any direction. We can go in the direction of truth or imagination. We can edge up close to truth with, or we can go wildly off the scale, not at all the way the world is. And in our imagination, we have a power to make that real. And so we're just really interesting. We're really interesting creatures, and we're probably genetically modified, so that opens up a whole nother can of worms. If we aren't genetically modified, okay, fine. But if we are, then you could open up a whole new field of scientific study connected to the PNAS and all of our collective wisdom, and we can quit denying the likelihood of... Now, I know we do have the radio telescopes and stuff out there screening for extraterrestrial life and beaming out signals and stuff, but as long as we are collectively so militant, the real extraterrestrials probably aren't going to answer us, because we'll slap them on a table in the lab and cut them open to see what the meaning of life. So crazy. Anyway, the 5 kleshas. I like the. I zoom in on the identifying with an imaginary self. I think that a lot of that is overly identifying with your expirational self instead of knowing that you are an eternal continuum encased in an expirational being. That's who you are. And so part of you will always be, don't worry about that. Know that softly, you are always going to be here. But this individual expression that you are in this moment, that one is expirational. And for that, there is a poignancy there. But I think that in the kleshas here, the identifying with an imaginary self, I don't think it's an imaginary self. I don't think either one of yourselves is imaginary. But if you only identify with half of yourself, then who you are is different. And so maybe that's what they mean. I'm not going to push against anything. But anyway, when you overly identify with your expirational self, from that comes a fear of death. Because if you think that you are only your expirational self, then you think that when you die, you're just going to wink out. And you do not wink out. Your purpose does not wink out. Your caring does not wink out. Your feelings do not wink out. Your knowing does not wink out. Your being a part of physical reality actually does not wink out. Because all of non-physical as well as physical is all engaged in the physical. So the physical really is important. But know that you are non-physically connected to it. Anyway, let me keep going. Then I go on sometimes and I tell the Kafka and the doll story. And the reason I do that is because it illustrates this love idea that the hard matter that you imagine around you isn't as hard as you imagine it to be. It is softer, and if you get into a playful attitude with yourself and the world around you, no matter what's going on, even if your house just burned down, my house did not burn down, and I hope that me saying such things does not literally mean that this is what's going to... It's just the illustration, okay? If your plumbing bursts, or if your... if something happens, if your car breaks down, even if your car breaks down, somehow in the bigger picture, in the bigger scheme of things, things are working out for you. If you would just open your mind, open your heart, open your eyes, and see, not demand that it come any particular way, but let your heart rest softly with the matter. That's kind of what it is. And focus on the spirit that you would like it to evolve as. And allow, if I am surrounded by a loving, kind spirit of helpful, hopeful beings trying to be clear on a project and make it come to fruition as we all dance together in this mutually beneficial project going forward, it is my faith that things work out. That if you pay attention to the spirit, then things work out. Anyway, the Kafka and the doll story, the punchline at the end is that everything you love will probably be lost. But in the end, love will return in another way. Now, what happens here is Kafka comes across a little girl who's lost her doll in the park, and she's crying, and they try to find it, and they can't find it, and they arrange to meet back at the park the next day, and when they come back, Kafka brings a letter that the doll has written saying, I'm going away on a journey. I'm going to go see the world, and I'm going to send you letters and as I go, and tell you of all my travels. And this thus begins a long-standing friendship. Now, I hope that we don't learn in the end that actually Kafka was a perv, and he was actually luring her to, molest and abuse her. Let's see if I can find this story real quickly. I don't actually believe that that is true. On the other hand, is this the one? Here, hold on a second. I thought I had Kafka and the doll story up. I usually do. I guess it doesn't matter. In a way, it doesn't matter whether the story's true or not. It's a beautiful illustration. In the end, so let me finish the story. I guess I have to finish the story. Okay, I'm going to jump into the story right here. The next day, when they had not yet found the doll, Kafka gave the girl a letter written by the doll saying, Please don't cry. I took a trip to see the world. I will write to you about my adventures. Thus began a story which continued until the end of Kafka's life. During their meetings, Kafka read the letters of the doll, carefully written with adventures and conversations that the girl found adorable. Finally, Kafka brought back the doll. He bought one that had returned to Berlin. "It doesn't look like my doll at all," said the girl. Kafka handed her another letter in which the doll wrote, "My travels have changed me." The little girl hugged the new doll and brought her happy home. A year later, Kafka died. Many years later, the now adult girl found a letter inside the doll. In the tiny letter signed by Kafka, it was written, "Everything you love will probably be lost, but in the end, love will return in another way." And the reason I put that in my show is because it just illustrates the way the universe is. You know, how love is this ubiquitous thing that you have to see past the forms and let your heart speak to you. Your heart is the one that's feeling the vibrations of the wholeness of the universe. And your brain is the one that needs to be the humble servant and not the, this is the time to bring in Einstein's gift. Love this one. Just added this one the other day. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. That's a great one. Let's see, do I have any other quotes? That's not in my list of, I don't have any slides to go with that. But that's one that I have been adding to my discussion because it also illustrates, you can't get away from it. We live in a positive universe, and our configuration is such that you might as well just give up and lean into the positive. Quit being your negative self. It's not really you. It's a piece of you, but it's not the whole you. When you find your positive self, you can still see that thing you were pissed off about, and you can see the relationship to the truth about it. It doesn't disappear. All right, let's keep going. Now I have clipped a bunch of slides from that paper, that Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity paper. I hope I've inspired you, if you are a regular, to go find this on YouTube or even take it from my links list from my earlier shows and watched the 37-minute video. I didn't particularly understand much of it. I understood some of it. And from a layman's perspective, I get the general idea, but the really specific mathematics and physics talk, no, I didn't get any of that. But what it did give me confidence of is that there's plenty to work with here in order to find the roadmap to the technologies that humanity really needs for the future. Really needs. Let's emphasize that one. The really needs, not fakey needs. What we really need. Clean, free energy for all of us. And if it has to be collectively distributed at first, fine. But over Unity devices combined with actual plugging into source energy, I believe, is what will get each other off of each other's throats. The reason we're having a problem is because we're having an abundance issue. We don't think there's enough abundance, and so we're all we're squabbling for scraps. There's not enough first world for all of the world. For us not to turn the whole thing into a cinder. And so what do we do about that? Well, we'll talk about that in a minute. I'm going to get through the rest of these mathematical slides. If you're a fan of the show, you've seen these before. If you're real fan of the show, you're not watching me anymore, you're just listening anyway. And if you're brand new, then you can look at these. You can go see this on, there's a 37-minute video on YouTube called The Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity. If you go Origin of Mass and Nature of Gravity, Nassim Haramein, if you plug that into the search bar at YouTube, you'll get this video. 37 minutes long. I think it's 37. Might be 35. I keep saying 37. Anyway, and often as I talk about the Planck field, which really does make the difference, by the way. The Planck field is why we are extensions of source energy. When the Planck field spins, it organizes into structures we call physical reality. And when it's not organized, we call it space and the 0-point energy field. But it's all the same thing. It's all just these Plancks, either organized into structures or not. And what's organizing it into structures is focus and attention. It really is. It is across all the field. It's doing it in the jungle too, with all the little creatures on the forest floor and all of the everything everywhere, and what they are looking at and thinking about and feeling about. That's what is making everything happen. At some point, somehow, it's even making the stars happen, but I don't know how that works. I don't know everything. I way don't know everything. And I know more when I get into this show, because I come into a space where all of my non-resistant thought is, where all the things I've thought about and put together, where all of that is. And then when the show's over, I've got the same problem as everybody else. I got to go out there in the world and deal with everybody else being so negative. Everybody around me is so negative, you know. And I know that I'm really positive, and you know that we're really positive, but how do you stay there? How do you stay there? There's lots of processes. You know, Abraham will start you out with a 15-minute meditation every morning, and it's not a bad idea. A meditation and a determination, you know, to be positive. Starting out, first thing in the morning, you got your best chance. You wake up in the morning, and until you drag all of yesterday's crap into today, and you may think, well, I have to because I'm sitting in the same universe around me, and I'm going to tell you, you aren't sitting in the same universe, because you don't understand how thoroughly this Planck field winks out of the materiality that is right here around you, and then winks right back in every second, every billions of times every second, every Planck time, by the way. And I have stopped on Planck time, so the Planck units, there's a Planck time, a Planck length, and a Planck mass, all determined by, so what's a Planck? It's a little frequency. What's the length of this frequency? Well, how do you get a Planck? How do you determine a Planck? You take a photon, a single packet of light, moving at the speed of light, which is what packets of light tend to do, moving at the speed of light, crossing its own diameter. You get a little thing that's not a packet of light anymore. It's not, actually, you've got a Planck oscillator now. A Planck oscillator. It's down to the unit that actually makes up the plasma field of the universe. That's what a Planck is. And the time that takes to happen, that's a Planck time. And energy and mass has an equivalency. And so that Planck mass is whatever that is. It's really small. It's really, really small. It's what everybody's talking about, what the buzz is all about, this Planck field and the understanding of it, and all of the things, the abundance and bounty and wonderfulness that it is going to bring to humanity as more and more of us start realizing that it is up to each one of us to find our own individual abundance. It's there. Focus on what you like. Focus on what you want. Focus on the good things around you. Focus on the love around you. Focus on the love around you. I promise you that's the way to be safe. I'm not telling you that it isn't true that there's lots of anger and hate and horrible out there. There's plenty of that. And if you start focusing there, you'll resonate that direction. You'll go that direction. Reality will look that way to you. You will rendezvous with all of those characters and all of that blood and hate and horror. There's plenty of it out there. You can go find it. Go find it. Because it's real. Well, I wouldn't do that if I was you. I would say, well, because that also only brings more of that into the world. You really want to bring the peace into the world. And you want to rendezvous with peace. And you want to magnify the love. And you want to focus on the peace and the love. You really do. You really do. And then from that position, now take in whatever reality you can and pull it into that space. You're an organizer. You're a great organizer. You're an organizing force. As a human being, you are an organizing force. Well, how do you want to organize this? Along what lines do you want it to organize? Do you want to, I'm going to get to my third great quote that I've been enjoying lately. And that is, as I'm going to admonish us all to focus on the spirit of things rather than the materiality of things, because to focus on the forms will get you into trouble, as Milton Mayer will tell us here in this quote from They Thought They Were Free, which is an interesting book. As a whole, it's got its pluses and minuses because it was written when it was written. And, there's the flaws of that. You go and read the reviews and you're like, okay, not a perfect book. But you know what? This quote from it sticks in my mind as an illustration of where you should focus and how, if you focus one way, things can go terribly, terribly wrong. You can't count on focusing that way as being going to keep you safe from forms that turned into truly horrible forms. But here we go. The quote is, we're talking about Nazi Germany and how things changed right out from under your feet in this incremental way that you didn't even pay any attention to. And then one day, all at once, you see that everything has changed and changed completely under your nose. The world you live in, your nation, your people, is not the world you were born in at all. The forms are all there, all untouched, all reassuring. The houses, the shops, the jobs, the meal times, the visits, the concerts, the cinema, the holidays, but the spirit, which you never noticed, because you made the lifelong mistake of identifying it with the forms, is changed. Now you live in a world of hate and fear, and the people who hate and fear do not even know it themselves. So, anyway, I find that an interesting quote because it tells you, focus on the vibration, focus on how it feels, care how you feel, because your feelings are a direct relationship. They are a resonant relationship between your greater self, who you really are, and the one who really knows all things, the one who knows what we all want, who knows what the win-win position of the game is, who knows what your win-win position is. And the reason you want to look for the win-win is because you'll get a lot less guff from other people if you are looking at a position that you win and they win and they win and they win and we all win. And so all of us could be working towards this because this is a win-win. But know also that it is not a you sacrificing yourself for the win of the group. That is a different thing. The win-win I'm talking about, you get to win too. And I don't know where that is, but I have faith. I know that every one of us could find that place. There is a place, a win-win position where I win and you win and they win, and we don't actually live in a win-lose scenario. Although the universe is so agreeable, so very, very, very agreeable, that if you play it like a win-lose, it will play like a win-lose, and you'll end up with a bunch of winners and a bunch of losers. But we don't want winners and losers. We want winners and winners and winners, because all of our inner beings are standing at the win-win position. All of those who... Now, I'm joining the whole group. I don't really care if the whole group joins me. I am really honored that there are a few people that listen to me, and I hope that there's a few people that listen to me from front to back. I hope that there's at least a couple people that listen to me from the beginning to the end every time. If there are, I am exceedingly grateful. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you. I got a couple more slides to go through, just a couple more. This one is the slide that to me shows, now this I cut not from the, not from the video, but from the paper, the actual paper at zenodo.org, Nassem's paper that he published last September. This shows how when one of those plonks is going into organization, it's coming across the event horizon of the 0-point energy field from non-organization into organization, into being, actually into materiality, going from being a plonk into the organization of form. It is spinning. Spin is fundamental. There is no matter that is not spinning. I defy you to find any matter anywhere that is not in some way, from some direction, spinning. It's all spinning, or it's not matter. If it's matter, it's spinning, and it's spinning with the rest of the field. And actually, that is what the dark energy and dark matter is. It's the spin of the field. We are a whole field. And there is a momentum to us because even though it's winking completely out and completely back in, as focus and attention you know what, never mind. I was about to go down a path that is both new to me, and so God only knows how long it would take me to get there. And I see that I'm coming up on an hour, so I should be ending this show pretty soon. Let's see. Do I have any more? Nope. That's the end of my... And then I have a whole bunch of scenery things. And some shows, I just stay on the scenery. And I never change to anything else. This one I went through all the slides because I figured it was time to go through the whole point of the Who Am I show. That's the point. And I'm trying to bring the subject of the law of attraction, which is what I usually talk mostly about. The fact that that which is likened to itself is drawn, that kind of thing, and the idea of what you put out is what you get back. This reflective universe that we live in. It all echoes back to who am I? Because the I am, how you can identify, how you identify, what you have the courage to identify as. Do you feel good enough about yourself that you can go all the way and realize that the I am that you are is the whole universe? Do you feel that in yourself? If you do, and if you can, then all kinds of data starts flowing from that position to you. All kinds of data just starts flowing your direction. Now, you, in your little you've got to decide what to do with that. You know? What do you do with that? Oh, peace and love and all the information. What am I going to do with that? Well, what you do with it is you have to get clear within yourself about what you want, for instance. Don't be crossing your own energy stream. You've got a powerful, positive energy stream going forward. Learn how to lean with that, how to go with that, how to be more humble with your physical mind and your intuitive mind. Know in your physical mind that you have a much greater knowing within you, that you need to be more humble and line that physical mind up with this great intuitive mind inside of yourself. Don't forget about that. Don't honor that physical mind and forget completely about the intuitive one. That intuitive one is the sacred gift. The physical mind is the faithful servant. Don't honor the faithful servant and forget about the gift. Honor the gift and use the faithful servant. See how that works? Aha, who am I? Who am I say. At an hour and 2 minutes in, that's probably as long as anybody wants to listen to me at any one time or has the time to listen to me. So I'll come back tomorrow. I don't know whether I'll run the whole circle again. I don't need to do that every time. I'd like to riff about things. It'd be great to have other non-resistant consciousnesses in the room talking to me about the stuff too. I don't need trolls in the room, defying me or, daring me to prove my hypotheses. There's no proving this. It's just, can you relax and allow yourself to know what you know? Anyway, great talking to y'all. I'll be back tomorrow, maybe, unless sleep or life or things interfere. In a couple of weeks, we're going to Oregon. I'm not taking the studio with me, so I will be off for a week. And you'll have to go back and listen to old videos. I do have quite a trail behind me. I've posted 170 some, but not every single one of them is forward facing, I don't think. Some of them are unlisted. I have at least 150. There's plenty for you to go and check out, because I've been talking about the same thing: source energy, divine autonomy, this power within us, the meaning of our positive and negative emotions, the fact that we probably can find better, more for now, to add to the energy equation, and then, transfer to better ones. I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings if they're all in love with fossil fuels, but there are better ways to do this. We can leave the land pure and pristine. We don't have to dig it up and truck it across the planet. Anyway, we'll talk about that more tomorrow too. I didn't really talk about the woes of humanity or the object of the exercise. I didn't riff about a lot of things. I actually went through my original show, or all through all of my slides, and riffed in this way and that way. I'll come at this from every direction I can think of. I'll be back tomorrow, maybe. Love you. Do your best. Be kind to each other. Peace, love, peace out, all that. And until tomorrow, may the source be with you.